Why bigger? This is a question I like to ask regularly because for me it underpins the strategy a business has in place. And right now, as we enter Q4 and come to the end of 2021, I think it's a really relevant question for leaders to consider. And as you'll know by now, I'm advocating that at a certain point in a business life cycle, there's a logicality to actually going better before any bigger. So rather than just growth for growth's sake, actually focus on the quality of the offering, the quality of the experience, rather than just aimlessly trying to add 10%, 15%. And there's four fundamental reasons why I believe this. And I want to just quickly go over the first one today, which is your stakeholders. Now, for most businesses, they've got three generic group of stakeholders. That's your employees, your customers or your clients, and your partners or suppliers. Now, for each of those groups, it's undoubtedly been a very challenging 20 or so months. And what I'm suggesting is maybe right now is the time to improve those relationships by slowing the growth down a little and developing better relationships with each of those groups. Most of our employees have had a tough period, probably the toughest period they've ever experienced. So right now would be a great time to reinvest in them, to understand what's working for them and what's not working for them, but just to focus time and resource inwardly on them. And similarly with customers and clients, often bigger is not better. So as we grow the business, sometimes the relationships are potentially worse off because we've got too many customers and we can't give the level of service that we gave previously. So a lot of the times when we get to a certain stage, it makes sense to think about the service levels we're offering and to ask the question, are we giving a better experience than previous? And if we're not, why not? What can we do differently? Because obviously, if the quality of what you offer in terms of an experience or the product or the service doesn't continue to get better, you risk losing those clients because they may go elsewhere. And the third key relationship is our suppliers and partners. And again, this relationship's been really tested over the last 20 months. And right now is probably a great time just to spend time with those key relationships and understand where they're going. What's the impact of the last couple of years been on them? How do you work together going forward? This idea that all relationships are finite, and if that's the case, we need to recommit to the ones that serve us going forward. Are these the right partners and suppliers for the next stage of your journey? So I think it's a really key time to be asking yourself these deeper questions. That is next year going to be a growth year in terms of turnover, or do we focus on getting better? Now, in the next video, I'll talk to you about the profitability and how this philosophy also can underpin greater profitability. So just because we're not growing the top line doesn't mean to say we can't grow the profits. So in the next video, I'll come back and explain to you how the shareholders might also benefit from a better before bigger approach. If any of this resonates with you and you'd like more details, you'll see the details on the next screen. Thanks for listening.